Hello, everyone. I'm Tobias Lokeson, Communications and Public Relations Director of Loki's Wyrdlings, a global trans-led Lokean Heathen organization with over 2,000 active members. I'll be speaking to you today about the official stance that we, as Loki's Wyrdlings, have chosen to take concerning the Troth. For those of you who may not have time to watch this entire video, Loki's Wyrdlings has decided to stand in firm opposition to the Troth due to recent and ongoing situations concerning the Troth's abuse and misuse of power, as well as their lack of professional and ethical integrity. For those who have the time, we encourage you to watch the entire video to better understand why we have chosen to take such a hard line against an organization that many mistakenly believe to represent the highest level of inclusive heathenry in the United States. The Troth has been a long-standing heathen organization since its establishment in 1987. In the years since its inception, the Troth has been part of many histories among the heathen community. The Troth has seen the rise and fall of scholars, peers, contemporaries, mentors, and more. Some of them have been lost to time and old age, others lost due to their actions against their fellow heathens and humans. The Troth has also seen change with the lifting of their ban on Loki in 2019. For many of us, the Troth has been interwoven with the weird of the community, most of our lives, spiritual careers, and journeys. They have become a place of trust, often the source we turn to if we are uncertain about the legitimacy or standing of a person, organization, or book. However, with recent events, and many still unfolding, this reputation has been proven to lack any foundation. It has come to light that a highly respected member of the Troth is an apologizer and enabler of child abuse. Despite learning this information, the Troth decided not to immediately remove Paxson from their organization in accordance with their bylaws. Instead, they've chosen to take their time and discuss this among themselves. This behavior should not surprise those who have witnessed how they've handled their stance on Palestine and the genocide happening there, considering their inability to issue a call for a ceasefire until significant public pressure was exerted. The Troth often dodged the subject, gave vague responses, and seemed to be wholly sidestepping the issue to avoid any serious discussion about a clear-cut issue regarding human rights. Human rights isn't a new subject for the Troth, nor is it a topic they've shied away from taking strong stances on in the past. The inability to give a clear and direct response seems to be a running theme with the Troth, not only as of late, but as a whole. Rather than take clear, decisive stances, they choose to take the coward's way out and make vague, sweeping statements. Within these statements, they not only contradict their own bylaws, but also absolve themselves of accountability. The most recent example of this was the statement they made on April 8th in regards to inclusive heathen communities and organizations. From an outside perspective, this may not seem like an out-of-place statement, but there's always more than what's on the surface. The catalyst behind this statement came from organizational correspondence between Loki's Wyrdlings and the Troth in regards to behavior witnessed at the Parliament of World Religions. Lauren Crow, the CEO of the Troth, was overheard by other religious leaders talking to a member and representative of Loki's Wyrdlings. The subject of the discussion was a dismissal of the legitimacy of Loki's Wyrdlings as a religious organization and of the integrity of Kai Green, its CEO and founder. Crow opened the interaction by introducing herself as the CEO of the Troth. This seems to be a pattern with Crow, who leads with her Troth foot forward as CEO. When a member of the board leads with their title, everything they say after that reflects back onto the organization they are representing. Therefore, when Crow began to openly and loudly disparage Loki's Wyrdlings and its founder, it quickly became a reflection of the Troth's opinion. Crow addressed the same sentiment of the illegitimacy of Loki's Wyrdlings as a religious organization directly to our founder during Troth Mute 2022, an official Troth event where Crow's position as CEO cannot be ignored or dismissed. Crow's behavior towards a representative at Parliament, an international event, demonstrated her intention to use her title as Troth's CEO to damage the reputation of Loki's Wyrdlings in a global way. It was clear that Crow was using her title in a professional setting to air personal grievances in an effort to damage the reputation of both Loki's Wyrdlings and our founder, which is why we sought and failed to receive a professional apology from the Troth at an organizational level. Similarly, Crow chooses to use her position as a soapbox to shout her opinions to those that will listen. This is a clear misuse of power, as well as evidence of weak leadership. We aren't the only ones to have noticed this misuse of power, as demonstrated by the public response to the Reddit situation. In late 2023, a trans Reddit user sought support and empathy from the community after having been attacked by a folkish/volkish person. This was a perfect opportunity for the Troth to show their support and solidarity with the LGBTQ+ community. Instead, Crow decided to discuss the semantics between folkish with an F and volkish with a V, which, as many know, are terms that express the same thing, but in different languages. Instead of demonstrating any empathy, Crow chose to defend the distinction between the Jewish folkish movement and the known white supremacist volkish people, a distinction that was clearly unrelated to the assault by the obvious white supremacist and which only created further harm. Crow attempted to apologize through a donation to a random trans organization in Arkansas, rather than one connected to or chosen by the victim. However, the damage had been done, and her actions had already reflected back onto the Troth. With these incidents, alongside several more, many have asked Crow to either be removed as CEO or to voluntarily step down. After a review of Crow's pattern of behavior, Loki's Wyrdlings made our concerns about Crow's actions known to the Troth, and we asked for an apology or official statement at the organizational level to make it clear that Crow's position on Loki's Wyrdlings did not reflect the official position of the Troth. The Troth assured us that they would be making a public statement and would inform us of when this was done. This promise was made to us on March 26, 2024. We have not heard anything from the Troth directly since then. It was on May 3rd, 2024, that we became aware of the public statement that they had made on April 8th, 2024. We had to discover the statement ourselves, as the Troth proved incapable of fulfilling a simple promise. In addition to their inability to communicate with us, we were also left wholly unnamed in their statement, despite a request that we be addressed specifically. The Troth vaguely referenced all inclusive organizations. It is our understanding that there are other groups and individuals, who we will not name here, as we will not speak for others without their express permission, who are dealing with similar issues with not only the Troth as a whole, but also with their CEO specifically. Rather than hold their own CEO accountable, the Troth absolved themselves of responsibility by dismissing what were clearly organizational-level professional concerns as interpersonal ones. The Troth contradicted their own bylaws and became complicit in the behavior and opinions of their CEO. So, it is little surprise that when the news of Paxson came to light, the Troth has worked with the same fervor and speed that they've used to address Crow's lack of professionalism. While Paxson was immediately suspended from her position as head of the Troth clergy program when the allegations against her were brought to the attention of the Heathen public, to our knowledge, this action was only taken after the news became public. The Troth made this decision more than 2 months after the concerns were brought privately before the Troth board, which raises concern that the Troth acted out of fear of public opinion, rather than from a sense of urgency about Paxson's views on child abuse and the potential impact of those views on her role as a mentor for Troth clergy. The lack of urgency the Troth has demonstrated concerning issues such as child sexual abuse enabling, genocide, trans safety, folkism/folkism, and more is growing at an alarming rate. The lack of accountability and action from within exposes a tree that has rotted at its core and struggles to continue to stand tall. It has become apparent that the Troth is in need of fundamental changes to its leadership culture and its decision-making processes. The systems it currently has in place do not promote transparency or effectively address concerns about the behavior of its leadership. During our investigation into the Troth, we uncovered a worrying trend where Troth leadership consistently seems unaware of the actions of their members. As such, it is quite probable that Troth leadership was unaware of allegations made against Paxson concerning her intentional enabling and denial of child abuse, even though those allegations became public in 2015 and widespread by 2022. It is easy to argue that people and organizations cannot be blamed for their lack of knowledge, but the consistent failure of the Troth to stay updated on the actions taken by their own members and leadership is extremely concerning. Many Troth members turn to external sources for information about what the Troth is doing, which is yet another illustration of how the Troth continues to abuse their power and suggests that there are significant systemic problems that must be addressed within the Troth. So, it seems to go without saying, but we will say it for the sake of integrity and the ability to make clear and decisive decisions. Loki's Wyrdlings no longer endorses the Troth as an ethical or inclusive heathen organization. Loki's Wyrdlings finds that the Troth lacks integrity and professionalism in their actions and or lack thereof, and that they use their groundless reputation as an inclusive heathen organization to hide what would otherwise be seen as the flagrant abuse of power.